So when the head guy got judicialed out, did you take over the top spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not like a lot of people ask, like, how do you get to that power? A lot of it was just like, I don't know, like fate or something, right? But it's also, it's not the smartest and it's not the strongest. It's the ones who can adapt to that situation the best, right? And see like angles and stuff. And so at that point in time, it becomes weird because now you're on a basis with all the other heads on the compound. And now you have to have relations with all of them.
Right.
And you have to
'Cause
like
you're
keep
the
rapport.
yeah.
Because at this point in time now, it's not like, oh, look at me. It's like now your job is to keep all your guys out of the hole
Yeah.
and to send them home to their families alive,
Jesus.
which is like real.
It's like real life politics. Like you really
Yeah.
have to go around to all the
You're
other
the
heads and like
ambassador of-
work this thing.
And yeah, and it's like, and other people might look at it like, oh, it's so cool. And it's like, dude, it's not. Like, it's not. But then also, you can't pull out because then you will get clapped out by your own set.
Right.
You know, so then you can't show weakness. There's certain things like we had one dude doing something, violations happen, and mine that you had to hang. I would be like, send him out to the bars and have him hang from a bar, and every guy is giving him a gut shot. And if he falls off that bar, it's starting over again.
Ooh.
And while they're doing that, I'm like running laps around the track.
Wow.
And then I would have, so there's different blocks going on too. So I got to know what's going on the blocks. I have to be on the yard for every wreck.
You have like a job. It's like a job.
Oh, yeah.
It's a full-time job.
Full time.
What the hell? Fantastic. Okay. We are back. We have Jack Lloyd with us. Jack and I go back from when I was working in corrections and you were incarcerated. We'll get to that eventually.
Oh.
But there is, I've heard you speak, but not your whole story. So I'm sure there is a lot there that I cannot wait to get into. Let's start with childhood. Where did Jack grow up and how did Jack's childhood look?
Whew. Okay. So my first memory coming into the world, I was around like 2, and I remember this wall was like moving real fast by me, right? And then the next thing I know, I'm on the ground, and it was like real dark, you know, from like my memory. And I look over and I see this woman, and she's like on this floor weeping, right? And I go up to her and I'm like, it's okay, what's wrong, right? And then I look up the stairs, and there's this guy like screaming and yelling, and he's coming down the stairs. And I get in front of this woman.
You're 2.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm like, leave us alone, right? And then that's where like the memory like cuts off, right? And it was probably like 20 years later, I talked to my mother about it, and she was like, you remember that? And that really happened. It was my pops she hit like, they were getting some argument. And she had me in her arms, and he kicked us down the basement stairs.
Holy shit.
And
Oh,
so the
wow.
next day, it was wheels up, and she took me with her back to her family, which resides in L.A. Well, L.A. County, Wilmington, but it's like right off the PCH. It's in between like Long Beach and Compton, that
Okay.
area.
You're from California?
I was born in Riverside here in Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Well, my mother's side of the family's from there.
Okay.
Originally, my mother was born in Oakland, and then they relocated when she was 8 to L.A.
Okay.
So I was raised there as a child, and then
So that was your first memory? Like that your first vivid memory
yeah,
was 2 years old and you were pushed down the steps by your dad?
yeah, and he had a gun and all types of stuff.
Wow.
That's
Welcome to the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, it was wild.
Holy
Jesus.
shit. Okay. Continue. Sorry. I need to cut you
All
off.
So yeah, and then we moved a bunch. At some point, we came back to Ohio, right? And I don't know if it was like something my pops did, or I don't really know the whole reason, or maybe like my mother's parents told her he needs to have his father in his life or whatever, right? And it would be like hit and miss getting to see him. And then when I was like 12, My mother and my step-pops relocated to the Twin Cities.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minneapolis, St. Paul up there. I lived there until I was like 16, and then I wanted to see what my pops was about. Still wanted to, like, you know,
Yeah.
get to know him or whatever. And I came back, and he was just real into his career. So at 16, I don't really have any supervision, right? And he's always, like, at his girlfriend's on the weekends, and we had a roommate, but she would always travel. And so it was like I had this house to myself. And, you know, throwing parties. My girlfriend was like 23, so I had access to a lot of things at a young age.
Perfect for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and like no consequences at that point. I just do what I want.
So you moved a lot as a kid for different. I mean, we're talking out of state,
Like
different
cross-country,
states,
yeah.
cross country.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly being ripped out of whatever community you're in and moved to another one. And this is a result of dad or stepdad or issues domestically.
Yeah,
so to
pretty
speak.
much. I've never been in one spot my entire life more than 2 years,
Okay.
which is wild. So I don't know if it's a part of my upbringing and, like, you know, like neuroplasticity, right? And when certain things affect us as a child, like they kind of like create these anchors that like last for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
So I'm just used to like naturally being nomadic and on the move.
Doesn't that suck? Like in school, like you can't really make friends, and then you do, you're gone.
I think that was like one of God's superpowers
Okay.
that was given to me, because having to move constantly like taught me how to like I don't know, a stranger, right?
Okay.
And I can meet anybody and connect and like build
Interesting.
relationships. And so I think that was like a real like superpower that God enabled me through those like trials and tribulations.
That's a cool way to look at it.
My entire life, no matter where I've been, like how dire a situation it was, there was never a time that it didn't present an opportunity.
What's Dad's career? Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. Ask.
He's a detective.
Oh,
Holy.
okay. That's kind of dope, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
What's he detecting? Like murder cases?
Yeah, at that time he was doing homicide. So also around that period, he was on this joint task force with the FBI, and they're like chasing people, and they had to go like in and out of states, and it was like a big thing. So yeah, he like leveled up at that time, and like he was like good at what he did. And I remember he had his partner Jerry. I'll never forget this night. They were going out to conduct like surveillance, right? And my pops was real like just like cavalier and like nothing can touch me and at this point in his career he had like I don't know, like 2 bodies under his belt, you know, like in the line of duty and that type of stuff. And I remember looking at Jerry when they were going out, and I could see it in his eyes, like it was serious, like and I don't know, my pops, he just like waved it off like it was nothing, I guess.
It's part of the job.
Yeah, type of thing. And he was he wanted to be an officer like his whole life.
What year is this?
This would have been what, 98?
Okay.
1998.
Okay.
Yeah, 16, 98, 99, around then. And yeah, he started out his career as an MP in the Army. That's where he met my mother at Fort Bragg. She worked intelligence, like out the gate, 17 years old. She was a code breaker.
Damn.
And her big op was Argo.
Argo, like the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when that movie came out, and she was like, "Don't see that movie until you come with me to watch it." And I went to see her at home, and we watched the movie, and then she'd point out key things. So she was like so when the knock was like in country, the knock, that's like a non-official cover agent, right?
Okay.
When that guy was in country, and then he would like make calls back or whatever, she was one of the people, they do 12 on, 12 off. So she was getting this info in like real time, and then breaking that code down, and then like, you know,
Wow.
up the flagpole.
Sending it where it needs to go. So that's a movie where like they're hostage taken. They send in undercover like reporters, right? Is that what it was?
They were making a movie.
Okay, yeah, making a movie.
Like
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the camera and all the people were in like they were whatever law enforcement or tied to law enforcement? It was a setup.
No, it was just they just sent the one guy in.
Okay, that's the
And what
reporter
the
guy.
post was, so they this is one of the things that like Hollywood was involved with. And basically what happened was they sent the one guy in the knock, which so a lot of people like work in the intelligence agency have like diplomatic immunity, you know? And so they'll pose as like some other job or whatever, but like they can't be considered like an actual spy.
Okay.
But like a knock, like you're out there in the wind. So if
you're-
he got caught, he was gonna get drawn and quartered and hung and tortured.
Damn.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You know?
So mom's doing intelligence and dad's a detective.
Yeah. Well, at this time, it's still like an MP.
Right, but that's your parents' background.
bloodline.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
And then my mother's father, he was a nuclear physicist. He worked for aerospace and NASA. And I don't know. I got cousins that graduated like West Point.
Any alcoholism in your genes or like addiction?
My mother
mental
and father,
health or
no.
Nothing?
No,
wow.
they're like straight as an arrow.
Really?
It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So take us to 16 and you're starting to throw parties and you're starting to dibble and dabble, I'm assuming.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, pretty much at that point, it's just like designer drugs.
Meaning?
You know,
Ecstasy
really.
and
Yeah, I started getting in like the rave scene, right?
Okay.
And I got into LSD.
What was your first experience with a drink or a drug that you remember that like made an impact on you?
I don't know. Because I started later. So, maybe like 15, 16 or something, like smoking a joint.
Smoking some weed.
Okay. I actually do remember now.
We want to take a moment to announce an exciting partnership with K&B Clothing Line, a brand that truly aligns with our visions and dedication to recovery. We all have a past and a story to tell, and Live Inspired K&B Clothing Line believes that every story deserves to be told without shame. They're also extremely invested in the recovery community and it shows in their clothing line. Every piece, just like the one I'm wearing here, carries a powerful message inspiring people to never give up. Own it, wear it, be inspirational. Go to www.liveinspiredknb.com and use code GETAGRIP for 10% off your first purchase.
I had a buddy who came over and he had this joint rolled up and he didn't want to smoke it alone, obviously. And we went and, I was still in Minnesota. This is like shortly before I left. And we get on our bikes and we go to like this little cut that's next to like a golf course and we smoke, right? And I was just like, and then there was like this hill. And I remember like the hill being so big and I was like, oh, I'm going to crash. And it was probably like a 5-foot hill.
Okay.
Right? And then it was, no consequences. When I lived in Twin Cities, I snowboarded a lot during the winter. And so after that, I remember winter would come and I would smoke, right? And then I would get home and I would just like go in my room. Like, oh, I'm not hungry, and just go in my room and just lay there and the room spinning. And, no consequences or nothing.
Okay.
So it was like, oh, this is okay.
All right.
Which is weird because your dad's a cop, right? Like.
Yeah, but this was when I was in Minnesota.
Okay.
So it was my mother and my
So it's
stepfather.
just okay.
Yeah.
He's not in the
Okay.
picture yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then with my pops, it just didn't matter. I remember he like found some weed or something because like my
That didn't
girlfriend.
scare the shit out of you, him being a fucking...
Nah.
Really?
I just didn't. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I remember I left like a bag on my bed. My girlfriend came to pick me up, right? And then I was like, oh crap, I left it. And then I guess he found it, right? And then he just had like some talk or something.
Yeah, right.
And I was just like, whatever.
Right, whatever, yeah.
And then I found my bag in his room, like a month later. So I don't know if he was like dibbing and dabbing or what.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time I came home with my buddy, Vadim Vinokur. He came over from Kiev when he was 6. So his whole family's like Russian.
Okay.
And so he's like got a perfect American accent. But then when you're with his family, they're all like speaking Russian. And he was with me and and he was like, your pops looks lit. And I was like, no. And then I looked at him, and his eyes were all red, and he was acting goofy. So he's probably like got in my stash.
Yeah.
It happens.
Little ball hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. Tell us more about the rave scene and where that kind of picks up and where that leads you to.
I always wanted to like break dance.
Okay.
So I started getting into like hip hop. Like I started doing graffiti and like writing rhymes and like trying to break dance. And since like 94, like 12 years old, I was always like trying to figure it out, but I was still a toy. I had like no idea what I was doing, right? And then through the scene, when I started going to parties and I started like trying to figure out how to break dance and starting to get better and like meeting people, because now I'm traveling like all over the state, right? Or we'll go up to Michigan, that type of thing. And so like it opened up some doors to like knowledge, because back then the internet still wasn't really, I mean, I didn't have a computer access. So anything that I picked up, I had to pick up like in the real world.
In person, yeah.
Yeah, to figure it out. Nowadays, like, you can learn how to do anything.
Get on YouTube.
Fucking
YouTube,
how do
Google
you,
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, pretty cool for these youngsters. But I was like the last of an era where it was like, you got to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the drugs begin to affect you? I'm assuming, ecstasy is,
So I noticed, oh yeah, the pills. Oh yeah, you can dance all night.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's awesome every weekend, right? And then at some point I noticed that I always had to be on some type of substance when I went to a party.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was just like I had to smoke some weed.
You realized this at a young age.
Yeah.
You were like connecting the dots.
Yeah, I always needed something, right? And I got to a point, we'll say like 18, 19, when I was like actually like I was fully dedicated to breakdancing, which means like I train every day. I was like halfway decent, like good. And we'd show up to these raves, and me and like the crew I'm with, that we all breakdance, and we all got backpacks, and we're standing outside the door, and there's a line of like 200 kids like waiting to get in, and we're like, we ain't paying. And then we got like, we're making a phone call, and like the promoter's coming out, right? And then we're like going in front of the line and walking in, and they're not checking us. And so of course, like, who do you think's like bringing like jars of ecstasy into this place? Right? And it was like, I remember it was all like ego. There's a lot of ego going on. Like, I got the bad bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
walking
I don't
straight
wait in
into the
line.
club.
People come up to me to get what they need.
That was always something I loved, was that feeling of being needed because of drugs. I loved that as much as I loved the money. When I was like selling them or middlemaning them or whatever.
Yeah, like the whole lifestyle that comes with it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of ego. It is. Like a lot. And like that stuff will change you or like get to your head or whatever. I remember Rock Raider came to Columbus, and that was awesome. Me and one of my buddies, we were up like next to the decks up there watching him spin, and my one buddy spun, and I just tried to rap and stuff, because I did all the elements out of hip-hop that it didn't take money to do. But DJing, that took money.
Yeah.
And I just, I got the bread like that.
Okay.
And then there was like pictures posted, and then somebody told us, they're like, here, let's save Rock Raider. And we didn't even realize pictures were taken because we were so like involved in the moment, right? And then you look back, and some of those pictures aren't so hot. like you're like, whoa.
Not as
What
cool
was
as
I
you
thinking?
thought.
Well, it's just like, like when your pupils
your
are like
eyeballs are fucking
silver dollars.
Are y'all
and
like
it's
shined up with what's the stuff? The
the
vapor
Vicks.
rub? Yeah.
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 Just put a little under your
Yep.
nose.
You're good to go.
You're in the corner, your old lady's giving you sea breezes, all that stuff.
Yep.
And at the time, it was like, I don't know, I'm still like anti-government and
Okay.
fuck the man.
You're one of
and the
those guys.
system
Okay.
And all that.
Okay.
And so I think I was just like doing everything to like rebel or whatever.
Sure.
And I think a key part of that was the fact that like I got my pops, who's like this decorated detective, and I seen him like beat the shit out of my mother and pull a gun on us as a child, and nothing happened to him. And so like authority figures were just like, man, fuck these
Fuck
people.
you.
Yeah. Which probably led to like, a lack of a moral compass and law and those types of things.
Issues down the road.
Yeah.
For sure. How long did you do that for? The whole rave scene?
When I stopped, it was like I had a good run until I started getting locked up, I think.
Okay.
So the first time I go to jail was for graffiti.
Okay.
And it was like the second time getting caught. And the second time it was like I blasted this whole scene and they thought there was like 3 people with me. And I was like, nah, it's all me, man.
What are you
It's all
tagging?
me.
Like, what's your, you got like a, not a motto, but I don't know what you call it. Like something that's like specifically yours.
Oh, yeah.
You like tagging buildings or train cars?
Yeah,
or...
well, he was asking the name. And I don't know, this stuff goes out in the world, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you're just like, overall, like what's your theme? What's your theme of tagging?
Everything. I mean, I was all city at the time. I do like heavens, like train bridges over like the freeways.
How the fuck do you get up there? Because I see that and I'm like, how do they even get up there, man?
So this is when I was like dabbing in like roller pieces. So I'm like hanging over the bridge, and I get like an extension to a roller, and I'm like dipping paint and then hanging over, which So I won't say my name. I can mention another writer who, like, I saw doing it. It was he would write coup, C-O-U-P.
Sure.
And I would see him start doing like roller pieces, and this was a thing that was like at the time was real big and like on like the West Coast and the East Coast, and nobody was really doing it here. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna start doing that too. And so I was like, I had to like, it's like competition.
When do you do it? Like the middle of the night, or like when's the best time to do something like that?
So originally when I started, I'll be like night missions.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like you're chasing like this buzz, right? You get like this high off of it. Not just from like the acts, because when you first start doing it, it's like it starts with like a marker and just like a little tag, right? And I shouldn't be doing this. What if I get caught? And then you have to do bigger and bigger things to get that high.
Of course.
Right? And so now it's like I'm hanging off like freeway bridges just to get my name as big as it can so people can see it from so far away. And then like once you get away with it and you look back and see it, you'll get that buzz. And then like the next day or whenever when you're cruising by and you see it, you'll get like a little rise.
Yeah.
And then it's like on to the next
what do I do now?
And it was like, that was a major addiction for me.
So you mentioned getting locked up for that. What did that do to you? Anything?
Nothing.
Was there any like...
Listen, so I go to the workhouse.
And how old are you?
Like 18.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I was raising that motherfucker. I'll tell you that.
Were you really?
Yeah, I did a lot of time in there. So I go to the workhouse, and everyone always asks, like, for some reason, throughout my criminal career, the cops always ask this question. You ever been to jail? And this time was the first time, and it was like, no. And then I got like 2 old timers that are like in the cruiser with me. We're getting transported, and they're like, oh, that ain't shit, man. And so at first I'm like,
cool.
In my head, like movie prison and that type of stuff.
Sure.
Right? And it's graffiti, so it's just a misdemeanor. Right? So I'm not going into a gladiator tank.
You're not sweating
off the rip. I get in there, and back then, envelopes were still currency.
Okay.
Right? So you could buy envelopes from the store.
Mm-hmm.
I still have like money in my pocket. I got money in the books. I go in the day before Thanksgiving, and it was like I was going to get out after Christmas. Right?
For graffiti?
Yeah.
Jesus.
They gave me like 30 days.
Yeah.
First time?
Yeah, second time.
Okay. Wow.
But it was it didn't like reform me at all. I'm in there smoking weed. I'm in there chilling, doing.
Yeah, how was the
doing
30 days?
want.
I mean, any issues?
It was
just chill?
It was so chill.
We don't hear that often.
Like I had people telling me, they're like, "What are you even doing here?" I'm telling them how to do graffiti and break dance and all this different stuff. And they're just like, man, you're wild. Why are you even in here? You're in here for graffiti? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And the rest of them like have like done some stuff or have a history. I remember we're over by the sink and we're like trying to like be sneaky, smoking weed in there. There's a lighter in the cell. We got a runner who's like delivering the stuff. We're passing off envelopes, and I was like, this ain't that bad.
Yeah.
And the day I got out, I went. I had like my bag of like spray paint and like some of my gear. I went to directly with my buddies. Hailed a cab. Shared a cab with somebody. Right? Because they still gave you cash when you got released back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still gave you cash money. Went to
Not
my
a
buddies.
check.
No.
Like it is.
You
Okay.
still had cash money
Okay.
when you came out of there and everything.
Got it.
So I go to my buddies. I get my pack. I throw it on my back, and I'm back out there.
Right at it again.
Right back. I did this huge bus line like all night, and then I went to a trap and got some ecstasy.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna walk this line all night, do all this graffiti. I'm gonna get some ecstasy. I'll take it from there.
That probably sounded pretty good. Good time. Good night.
Yeah, like 18, 19.
Fuck yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Fresh out.
And you're still living with dad at this point?
No, at this point, I'm like, I'm out there.
Okay.
I'm just like
Couch surfing.
Couch surfing?
that type of thing. I still have like enough contacts, and like it was like I mean the night I'm not really sleeping. I'm out like doing graffiti the whole time, right? So yeah, that was going on, and then I remember it catching up to me. So the first felony comes up. So I'm on the streets, and I would like go through people's cars and stuff, and I
Okay.
come up on some keys, right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna take this now, because they had a spare set like in their glove box. Like I'll go through your whole car. Like I'll take my time. I'm like, I have no like
so
worry.
you have gone now from your little graffiti ecstasy rave scene thing. So now you're committing crimes, and are you?
Oh well, I've been committing crime since I was like 13.
Okay.
I was like one of those little gremlins sneaking out of the
Okay.
house and like going through your car and taking your change or whatever you got in there.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I always had that instinct, right?
See, I always say that I believe that I was an addict before I ever picked up a drink or a drug, because I'd steal shit, little
Yeah.
Pokemon cards or whatever. And that's addict behavior, alcoholic behavior. So that's how I always looked at it for me as
sure.
a kid.
I'm a liar, cheating, a thief, and a con man on the weekend.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's the
Saturday.
weekend.
It's Saturday.
So I got this stolen vehicle, and I'm wild. You could still prepay. You could still like get gas and not have to prepay at
pay.
the pumps. So I'm in a stolen vehicle. I'm stealing gas, right? I was wild. Like I do not care. The inside of the vehicle, I'll go and like pick up my buddies, and it's got all this graffiti on the inside of it.
Oh
God
my
damn,
Just
bro.
destroyed this
God.
dude's car. Like, did not care.
Didn't give a fuck.
Right? It was I remember it was winter time, and so I'd like turn the heater on, and then I'd be like sleeping in it, and then I'd just like go around the day or go do what I wanted to do.
That's so ballsy.
And I had some time to kill one day, and there's these train tracks that are down by Nationwide Arena,
Okay.
right? And there's a bridge there on High Street that you can park on, and then
Okay.
you can walk. So I parked the stolen car there, and I walk, and I'm like, dude, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so at this point in my graffiti career, I'm so like numb to stuff that I'll go in the day. I don't care,
Wow.
right? Because I'm trying to chase that rush.
Yep.
Yeah.
I need something a little more. Like you build up that tolerance.
Now I got to do it in the daytime. Where, yeah.
And I'm like, I had some time to kill before I had to go pick up my girlfriend, right? So I know where this wall is, and I'm gonna enter this tunnel on the other side. I've never been in this tunnel before in my life, right? But I've driven around it and seen it, like in passing by.
Been eyeballing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I come down the tunnel, and somebody must have seen me like jump this fence and like call somebody. So I come down one side of the tunnel, and I'm doing this tag on the other side from where I came in, right? And then my exit route is I'm just going to go back or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't really have a big plan, you know? And I'm doing this a little like I'm just doing like a throw up piece that's like a top to bottom. So it's probably like an 8 foot by 10 foot like area I'm like taking up on this wall. And I'm like finishing up, and I'm doing like my little like sending messages, Like I might write like "stay blunted" or like "faded" or just something,
Okay.
you know, something silly and stupid.
Okay.
And then I look to my left and I see some dude coming down the tracks, right? And the first thing I think in my mind is that it's the bull. And a bull is a guy who works in a train yard who, like, his whole job, if you're doing graffiti and you're in a train yard, and the bull's, like, he just wants to beat your ass.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
it. He just wants to catch you and beat you up.
And this is like a well-known thing in the graffiti community.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just wants to catch you and beat your ass, right? And I'm like, oh, that's the bull. Shoot. And so I walk away from the wall, right? And I start walking away from him, and I hear, hey, get the fuck down, right? And I'm like, oh, that's a cop.
That's the
I know
police.
those voices.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, well, fuck this. And I start running, right?
And you got your whole pack on.
At this point, I just have a hoodie
Okay.
and like one can
Couple
on
can-
me.
okay.
I'm just doing a little quick throw up, like trying to kill some time. I got like a toboggan on, right? And it's wintertime, so I'm layered. And I got the can, and then all of a sudden I hear, stop or I'll shoot. And I'm like, you're going to shoot me?
Over some graffiti.
And so I chucked the can, right? Like as far as I can. And now I'm, Bolt, you saying,
Oh,
man,
you're not-
Jesse Owens.
He's
I'm
gone.
not stopping.
So he says he'll shoot and you run.
Yeah, I'm like, shoot me in the back. I'm like, I'm
Okay.
crazy. I'm like, shh. So I'm taking off. Now I look down at the other end of the tracks.
Oh, no.
Right? And here's like some like garage parking lot security running towards me, right? And I'm like, and I'm just bolting towards this guy. I'm not going towards the gun. I'm like, well,
Right.
that guy's trying to kill me.
Better
Yeah.
chance on the other end.
And I got this guy, and I know around the corner there's this parking garage. I've never been in this parking garage in my life, right? But I know it's there.
Okay.
And I know I can jump in there. And it's like the ledge is like higher than where the like bottom is, and I'm like, I gotta get to around this corner before the guy, the security dude or whatever, not the cop, gets to me to try to tackle me. And so I'm like, man, I'm bolting, run as probably the fastest I've ever run in my life. And I cut the corner, and I don't have time to like hesitate.
So you
I'm
just
like
go.
mid-run jump, and it was a bigger drop than I
Ooh.
anticipated. So I'm like rolling down the windows.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the air for a sec. And I have like a skateboarding and snowboarding background. So I know how to like fall,
Yeah.
right? From like heights. So that was a problem, but it was just like, whoa, this is a big drop. But they didn't jump down it, right? It was that big of a drop, but I was just full flex, like in
you
run,
committed.
jump.
You committed
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not getting caught, right? And I hit the ground, and then I go down like a level, and I come around a corner, so they don't have eyes on me. Like I'm on like a separate level from them. And I take my toboggan off and my hoodie, and I throw it in this car, and then I climb on another one, and I climb out the other side of the parking garage. And there used to be McDonald's right there, so I'm one street back from High Street, right there downtown. I see this McDonald's, and I have this like striped, nice like sweater, like blue and whites or whatever going down. So now I just changed my description.
Yep.
Right? And I walk into McDonald's. And I remember I was so like nervous. I was like, I look at my hands, they're covered in paint. And I'm like, I'm gonna go in the bathroom. And I was like so like flexed out, I had to take a shit right there. So I was, boom, took a big old shit, washed my hands, came out, and I was like, I gotta get in line and buy something. So I blend in, right? And as I'm standing in line, I look to my right in the street, and here comes like 3 cruisers,
Ooh.
and they got the security guards,
Ooh.
and they're all looking in the parking garage, and none of them knew I had already gotten out of there.
Oh, so they're still looking for you.
Yeah.
Damn.
And
Okay.
so I got my McChicken sandwich, and then there's a way to walk through this building to High Street. I never been in this building in my life. I just like got lucky
Just
and
worked out.
something. And I get to High Street, and then I go and get my stolen vehicle and
Oh.
drive off.
Right. I forgot you drove there in the stolen
Golly,
vehicle.
dog.
So just not caring at all. And then 3 hours later, I get picked up on the freeway.
In the car.
Yeah, in the stolen vehicle. So it was like, should I have gotten caught for the graffiti?
With a stolen car.
Yeah. Was that like a God thing? It was like, hey, you're getting picked up today one way or another.
Right.
We're tired of your shit. And so this is the first time going into a gladiator tank. Now I got a felony.
So what's it look like? They pull you over with the stolen car. They call backup, guns drawn, or anything since it was stolen, or was it pretty civil?
I'm assuming you try to BS your way out of it, right? Like, you try to,
I
it's
was
not
like,
my friend's car, or...
I'm dead to rights.
Okay.
Okay.
We got the car trashed.
Yeah.
I did tell him I had one of my buddies with me, and I did say, like, he didn't know, right? So he got off of it.
Nice
You
of
know
you.
what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, the keys are in the ignition, and he picked it up. He picked me up. I didn't know the car was stolen. And I'm not going to, like, bring somebody else down with
right.
me, right?
Okay.
And so that was the first time of, and still nothing. I sat in the workhouse for a couple weeks.
So yeah, you go into a felony tank now, a gladiator tank, and explain to the viewers how that's different from the misdemeanor tank you were in previously. When you say gladiator tank, what does that mean?
So when you come into a gladiator tank, so in the workhouse, it'd be like 2 West up there. Well, this is back in the day. You're fighting off rip when you come in there.
Yep.
And you're not fighting one guy, you're fighting 3 guys.
Every time.
That stuff's fun.
You enjoyed it.
I mean, it's like, how do I explain it? I guess as a youth, it's just like, so if you talk about the county compared to prison, right? The county's always like the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people in there are coming off of drugs.
Yep.
I mean, just nicotine,
Sure.
right? They're coming off that stuff.
Irritable.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, you're at the beginning of your case.
You have no idea what's going on. Are you going to prison? Are you not? So that's where, like, most of the fights happen. And a lot of times it's just because it's like an underlining issue and something else can, like, pop off. And then after the fight happens, maybe it's like a male thing, feel better or whatever. Then also you got to look at it when you go into a tank. That's somebody's house. Somebody's been in there for 6 months, a year. Like when you're like especially when it's the common pleas and the felony side of it.
Yeah.
You got people who are fighting like some serious cases, and they've been in there and they're used to that, and that's like their shit. So they want to know, like, who the fuck's coming in there. You know, I never tapped out.
Good for
But
you.
I'll tell you what, I took some losses.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember one time a dude took my tray.
How's
And it was
that look?
big-
Just straight took it? Just
It was
this is mine?
So this is back when. So I didn't take it from me, like personally, right? This was back when. Nowadays, dude, they got it so locked down, you can't even like really do like. So it used to be sleep late, lose weight.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Like if you didn't wake up, because they would bust the doors
Slide
open
'em in.
and bring all the trays
All of
in
them at
and
once.
set them on the table, right? And I came to get my tray and I didn't have one. See, this dude's got 2 of them, and he's like 6'5", like 300 pounds.
Oh.
But like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna starve in there, so I had to fight the dude. And yeah, that was a loss. that was big shiner.
Yeah.
But then after that, nobody took my tray.
Did you get your tray back?
Yeah. And then after that, nobody took it because they were like, well, don't mess with that one. And that's also kind of like, I'm sure you're aware of the whole criminal thing. Like, even if you're a lion and you hunt a gazelle, you're going to go after the gazelle that's got a bum knee.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you don't want to have to fight for it hard. Right? And it's like, well, if that gazelle's going to put up a fight, I don't want to put up my energy type of thing.
Yeah, it's just the willingness to fight.
Yeah.
That's
win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
It don't matter as long as you show up.
Yep.
And that goes for prison and everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which, it taught me I wasn't made of glass. I remember my last altercation, I got this dang scar on my eye from it. It's like 2019. Here I am on my way to prison again, back in the workhouse, and I'm out of my mind. I'm like coming off of ice, right? So I'm staying up for days. I have like a mohawk,
Okay.
like I'm just like crazy looking,
You look crazy, yeah.
right? And I come in there, and I got a top rack. I'm in there for like a day or two. My bunkie gets into some altercation or something. Right? And then now he's removed from the tank. And so I'm like, it's like 20 minutes because I wake up to this. It's like a 3 a.m. type of thing. And I'm like, nobody's taking that rack. I'm like, well, I'm dropping down. I'm taking this rack.
Yeah, you're already up top. Why wouldn't you?
And some kid who's in the day room comes, right? And there's like a group of them. And this was one of those times where I didn't fight nobody coming into the tank straight off the rip, right? And they send this young kid, right? And at first, like, this little group came up and asked some questions and all this, right? And you could tell some ain't been to joint yet because they're still young. So they ain't been full circle. So they're just trying to get this information and stuff. And they said, and the young kid, he's like, that's my rack. I was waiting for it. And I was like, no, I'm here now. This is mine. And then he sucker punches me, right? And I'm like sitting down. So then I get activated, right? And so I get up and like snatch him up. And I'm having my way with him. And I got him on the ground. I'm in top mount. I'm just mashing his face, right? Well, here comes another buddy.
Of course.
And he takes one of those cups.
Oh,
them
yeah.
plastic
The milk
cups.
cups,
milk
the
cups.
fucking your little
The
plastic,
plastic.
Peach
yeah.
color things, yeah.
Slit me, right? And he starts bashing me in the head. And so I'm like, oh, y'all gonna jump me? And while he's hitting me in the head, I'm just bashing this kid's like head into the floor. I'm like, well, I got one of y'all. Like, bam,
Right.
bam, bam. And then finally that dude stops, right? And then I get up to like face this guy, and he runs around the side of the rack. And while I'm like directing on his attention, the other dude with the little like three amigos comes up and blasts me in the back of the head. So then I turn around and square up with him, and then he goes and just sits back in his rack. I think because they thought like they were gonna like knock me out, like lay me out cold or whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like that was the end of it. You know,
You
put
kept the
some
rack?
Toothpaste on my eye. Yeah, put some toothpaste on my eye, right? And then it was like I made it through breakfast, and then lunch came, and they yanked me out because my shit's like split.
Oh, y'all
and then
fucked
they
up.
grab a different dude who's got a shiner from a different fight, and we're like, we didn't fight.
I don't even know this guy.
Yeah, it was wild. Just dumb shit.
And you mentioned you were getting ready to go to prison. When did that start? Like, when did you start to see prison, or when did your cases start to build up to the point where it's like, all right, fuck, I'm staring down the barrel of some time here?
Heroin.
Yep.
That checks out.
Heroin.
Tell us about it.
So for a big portion of my life, I always knew that something was wrong with me, right? I had this thing where I can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would never do heroin because I knew that if I started doing that,
That's
it would be
it.
over.
Yeah.
It's over. And then I hit that point in my life where I was like, fuck it. Give me that shit. And I remember I started out chasing the dragon. And my buddy was like, you're just wasting that shit. And then I was
You
like,
were smoking it on foil.
yeah.
Tar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was like 08,
Yeah.
09, like,
Back when it was real heroin.
yeah, well, not that like fetty shit,
Yeah.
that crap going around today.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm like mainlining it. I'm like, all right, put it in me. And I always remember, it felt like, for me personally, if it was like good shit, I felt like I was like drowning. Now I know that may sound weird, but it was like I felt like I was underwater, or like I had this wave over me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, is this what drowning's like? I don't know. Probably I was like drowning my own sorrow, you know? So heroin leads to a lot of crime.
Okay.
So I do a burglary,
Okay.
right? They catch me from my shoe prints.
Just a random house, or what was
Oh
the
no,
what was the
It's my pops.
Oh, damn, got dad on it.
Yeah,
the detective, for God's sakes?
Yeah,
Of course.
The worst fucking person to go
Of
rob.
course.
The detective.
Well,
What do you?
I know what's
What's
in the
your?
house.
What are you getting out of there? Just anything? Guns? Anything about you?
but no, I didn't take the guns because I knew that was like a way bigger
Way bigger.
Fuck yeah.
charge. So I was like, I'm not messing with the guns, right? But you know, the TV, the PlayStation, whatever I can
Oh.
like pawn or
You
right?
like wiped him out? Like you really?
Yeah, I kicked in. I went around the back to like the basement, those little basement doors. I kicked that in, slid onto the dryer, and that's where they got my shoe print.
Oh, on the dryer.
Yeah, right. And then I go upstairs, and that door's locked. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I climb back out the window. I go to the car, and I'm like, give me my tool. Fucking, I don't know if it was like I just used a straight crowbar or something. But obviously at this point in time, I'm rolling around criminal tools.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to need one, right? And I grab that and I bust that door open. So now I like damage like a few things. And I got the front door open, and then have my little crew come in with me. And, you know, we're all like methodical and everything. Like, one of my big things would be I don't need a bag because I'm just going to grab one of your pillowcases.
Okay.
Like, I'll be real good at like.
Just like Santa loading up fucking
Yeah.
pillowcases of
like
shit.
I'll use what's in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use what's in there. And immediately, my family knew it was me.
Like before the shoe print was discovered. Like,
Oh yeah, they already knew. And they called, and I was like, nope, it ain't me. And it took like a week or two, and they came up to my work, and I had those shoes on.
The police or your parents?
No, the detectives.
Okay.
And I had them shoes on, and I was like, I didn't put two and two together.
Mm.
And they take me in question, and they take my shoes, and I'm like, fuck.
Like, shit.
I walked home in my socks.
Oh, bud.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it wasn't enough. You know, I'm going to go do another shot.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So now they're coming talk to me, and they're like, they understand, like, I got a problem, you know, and I'm just, like, fucked up on drugs and shit. And so they're telling me, like, well, you could get, like, a program, something like this. Like, they're actually trying to, like, offer help.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Right? They know it's, like, a family, like, incident, too. Right? And then, commit this robbery, man.
While under investigation for this other thing.
Oh, of course.
Okay, of course, right.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
Okay.
Can't stop. I have a broken hand when I do this little robbery. It was just like snatching a purse.
Okay.
You know? But it was still some fucked up shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Immediately after I do that, I get credit cards. This chick that I'm running with, she goes in and gets like some computers on the credit card, and then we're going to go and like flip those. Right? And we show up to the house, and there's detectives there.
Damn.
I'm like, what? And they're for the other case. They want to talk to me about some other stuff. And I'm like, oh, man. And then it was like I sat there dope sick because the other people left to get the dope.
Oh,
Didn't come back.
Oh.
Dude, so that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of
Dude,
like...
we create our own personal hell, I'll tell you that. I'm in this trailer by myself, dope sick, committing heinous acts on the public. And, yeah, eventually, you know, it just came full circle. They get me, they pick me up, and they sit me down. That was May 11th, 2011. They just gotten Osama. They gotten him like a week prior,
Okay.
May 2nd. And I got a broken arm, which sucks going into county.
Yeah.
Because now I got to fight with one hand.
One hand.
That was the worst. And I'm dope sick. And back then, there was no like, oh, we're going to bring you the Gatorade or this or that, right? And every time before that, when they ask if you use drugs or anything, I always lie. I'll tell them no. Nope, I don't drink. I don't do nothing. And you just look like trash.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, okay,
110
bud.
pounds and...
I mean, back then they didn't do anything anyway.
Yeah.
they
So
didn't give a fuck.
it doesn't matter what you tell them. They're
Yeah.
not going to help you. They never gave me shit. Like, I would try to get ibuprofen or something, anything for some kind of relief, and it was like impossible.
You better believe it.
Like,
They came to check on me one time. Nurse did like my pulse. They're like,
Yeah.
you're fine. And I remember it felt like weeks. Like I had like muscle spasms laying in that rack, all type of stuff. And finally I got over it. I started doing push-ups. And yeah, on my way to prison. It's like eight months later.
What are you looking at? Like, what do they catch you
Like
with?
3 to 4. So I got the robbery
Robbery.
and I got the burglary.
Okay.
My first time. Like,
Damn.
looking at like some real time.
Yeah.
But it's like, you're going to prison. You know?
you knew it.
Yeah. Like it was, there's no like you're not getting no program or
Right.
nothing, you know? And it's like a month into it, my co-defendant from the robbery hangs herself in the workhouse.
God.
Whoa.
And the lawyer comes and tells me that. And because he thought like we were in a relationship or something, we weren't. We
Just doing crimes together.
yeah, active addiction, you know.
Yeah.
We get high. at that point in my addiction, I didn't even like care getting some pussy at this point in time.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
So
I'm with
I'm
you
just
on
so
that.
Yeah.
out
I
there.
am so
I'm
with
like,
you on
I
that.
don't give off. Like, ugh, like I need my dope.
Is part
Yeah.
of you relieved that she killed herself? Like at that time, because like, all right, that's like less. She can try to spin on you.
Oh yeah, because I mean they did talk. She was gonna like
Get a deal.
testify or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I felt. I think I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah. How do you react?
Because
to
this
that?
was like a suburban, like housewife.
Mm.
Like she still had she was still married, had
Jeez.
children,
Wow.
right? So yeah, it was just like it was sad.
Yeah.
I think half of me was like, how'd she hang herself?
Right. Right.
How'd she do that?
Yeah.
But she did it.
Yeah.
So then it's like 8 months. I've been in there for like 8 months,
Okay.
and they call me down to court, and I'm like, I don't have court today. I don't go back to court for like another month or something, right? And then I come down, and from the robbery, right, my victim, they turn up dead. They died, right? So he's like, today, right now, 18 months. The family just wants this whole thing done, 18 months, right? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, because I'm trying to get this one and the burglary,
Yeah.
like, run concurrent and not consecutive
Yes,
and, like,
right.
wild on me. And I'm like, okay. And then also, so everybody, like, all the old timers, are like, dude, you had that case beat. They didn't have a case at this point in time. I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but I still got the burglary. And if I'd beaten that one, they were going to stroke me on the burglary and max me out.
Yeah, they'll get you.
They'll
Yeah,
figure
they would have
something
gave
out.
me like four plus.
Yeah.
Right. So I was just like, and also at this point in time, I'm like starting to reflect, and like I'm like, man, I'm like I'm just an evil ass dude. Like I'm not a good person. Right.
That's how you felt.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be like, no, I need a time for this. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that.
So a year and a half isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things, right? 18 months, whatever.
You were just like, let's do it.
No, I'm made in. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, because they're talking like 3 to 4,
Okay.
right? And I'm like, yeah. So I go to prison.
18 months.
Still got the burglary case,
Oh.
right? So I've never been to prison.
Yes.
So of course,
tell us about.
movie prison
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta hit the
mentality.
biggest, baddest
Right?
guy.
Walk
I'm
us through day one. You're coming in on the bus, the anxiety,
So like reception.
yeah,
CRC?
just the whole deal. It's your first trip.
Well, it's always the best when they tell you to spread your butt cheeks and then put
Yeah.
your fingers in your mouth.
Yep.
Immediately after, you're like, what? What the fuck? Like, I mean, and it's not the first time I had like a flashlight looking at my butthole, but
Yeah,
you get used to it.
it's calm. Yeah,
Whatever,
you do.
right? Which is wild. It's amazing things you get used to.
Yeah.
And I'm cruising through, and I'm happy to get a pair of those State Boy shoes on my feet because I've been in flip flops for
Yeah.
like 8 months.
Talking about
So
the Velcro joints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy to get them. At this point in time, too, I still have people in my life from the outside world. So I got like money on the books, right? So I'm not like struggling, right? I get a pair of them Reeboks from the store. So I got some like decent shoes. No. I got them off the land, and I went and bought stuff from the store, so I got a better deal because I'm cheap, right? I got a pair of them before I went, and I'm just sitting there, and my celly was cool. Like the thing that'll make or break CRC, reception, and being themselves is like the celly.
Sally's everything.
If you got a cool celly, it's all right. If you got a douchebag, it sucks.
Because
It's a
you're
long-
23 and 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it ain't. Man, that's pressure. That's pressure in there. So I'm kind of like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm in there. I'm like even like prior to like my jail experiences, old timers been in a joint. They always told me, they're like, dude, you'd be fine if you went to the joint. Because they're like, dude, you just do your workout, you read books, you chill. They're like, you're not like one of those idiots, you know? And I try to listen to them old timers a lot because, like, I don't want to die. Like, my main goal going into prison was, like, don't get killed and keep all my teeth. You know, like going in there, right? And then I finally find out where I'm going, and they're like, "You're going to Belmont," and I'm like, "Belmont? What the fuck's that at?" Because Belmont is a Lorraine camp from the north. Everything like north of 70, Interstate 70 on the northern side of the state,
Mhm.
is supposed to be from Lorraine.
Belmont's eastern Ohio, right?
That's like-
Yeah,
close
it's
to West
north border,
Virginia.
It's
right?
north of Noble.
Yeah.
You're getting like Pittsburgh news and like Wheeling, West Virginia news
Yep.
out there. It's like a county north of Noble, right? And being from Columbus, if you're gonna send me like way out, it should have been Noble. They sent me to Belmont,
Okay.
and I'm like, what's a Belmont? And so I'm asking old timers, and they were like, oh, you going to Belmont? I was like, yeah. They're like, it's gladiator camp. They're like, lace up.
Damn.
You know? And then you'll be all right. Right?
He'd
I'm
be
like,
all right.
fuck.
He'd be
okay.
all right.
I mean, you don't have a choice.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So at the time, it was the most violent level 2 in the state.
No shit.
They had
Really?
riots up there, and they had to call in the fucking National Guard. And they do emergency ride outs. Like, they rode buses on the fucking yard. So the Heartless Felons were, like, running amok up there, which is a prison gang that was developed in DYS. It was, like, one Blood, one Crip, and one something else. And their lit's crazy. Like, if one Heartless Felons get in a fight,
They're all
jumping.
Okay.
You know, and it's like...
They were running Belmont.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But they're like if you pull steel on them, they won't fuck with that. You know, if
When
you
you-
pull like a fucking hawk
When you
or
say
a shank.
for the viewers, when you say pull steel.
Okay, so a shank is like this,
Mhm.
right? And a hawk is like, it's going to hit.
Like
and
a
turn
sword.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fucked at the hawk.
Like you're going to. Because a shank, it could be like a bed spring or something, you know, and they give you the typewriter and like poke you up. And that a lot of guys will live from, but the hawk, it's over with. Like they'll go right through your liver. You're going to have internal bleeding and you're in prison.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the best care.
Right.
It's over with. Yeah, so Heartless Felons, they're like sand people. You know, like easily scared, but they'll be back and in greater numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so there was that going on. The block I go into the gang block, right? And so I guess we can backtrack. So I had obviously I'm not gonna say like the organization or whatever that I was affiliated with, but it goes back to being in the Twin Cities when I'm like 12, 13. And back then it was just about like stacking, which is like throwing up gang signs and like fighting kids and maybe you sold a little weed or something, you know. And this happened from the epidemic. So it was a 90s epidemic in Chicago where a lot of parents were moving their kids out of the city of Chicago to get them out of the gangs. And what really happened was you put all the gangs out of Chicago and you spread them across the country.
Interesting.
That's how that epidemic happened in the 90s. And so I come into I meet somebody from Chicago, 17-year-old kid, you know, and that's how that happens at like 13 years old in the Twin Cities. Like and also it's like a close enough route to where these guys have connections and they can go to Chicago and meet with their people and come back and
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
It's like an old school Silk Road type of thing.
Okay.
Right? Hit the freeway. So there was that in my past, right? But prison gangs is a lot more political, right? It's a lot more like lit and type of things, and like a lot more like you better know something. You better know like your prayers. You better know this. You better know your rules. All types of stuff, right? Because if you don't, you'll get clapped out.
Yeah, walk us through the politics of that, like the prison gang politics that you saw.
So when I get there, I get into 8 House, right? And I'm not marked yet. Like, I'm not flagged. for what is it? I can't remember the name of it. It's a name they put on like gang members.
Okay.
I mean, today I am. They pull me aside, like to see, like when you pop top and your tattoos
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
Right.
They take the pictures and
Yep.
like immediately, anytime I go into like an institution or anything, it's boom, flags, pull them to the side, all that. You gotta go see like the gang coordinator, investigator, or whatever. Have talks with them when you're going back into prison and all this type of
Okay.
stuff. So I go into A house, and it is like all the heads of all the gangs on the compound are in A house. It's the worst block on the compound because everyone who gets out of the hole goes in that block.
Mm.
And that's where I got like placed, right? Probably because somebody had just gone to the hole. There was a rack open. I'm coming into the camp. Boom. Which was crazy because like the camp was like there had to be a certain number of people in the hole for that camp to function up at Belmont. It
Really?
wasn't yeah. Like there's a certain percentage that's always in the hole up there. Because the camp was like, also it's a level 2, but we had controlled movement.
Okay.
Like that's crazy,
Okay.
right? So it was just a whole bunch of like, it was like an open camp, but you got controlled movement like a level 3. And when I get in there, the organization I was associated with is like, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, like with the higher ups, and so a lot of people are off count, right? Which means like when you're off count, it's like, dude, we're like on the sidelines right now because y'all's on some fuck shit, right? Eventually that changed. The heartless felons got ran out, which created like a circle. So now you got a whole bunch of other sets fighting for a piece of meat, right? But it did get better because at least there was like more order. You know,
Okay.
a lot of the other sets are just like they're like militant. They're run like military. You have like a hierarchy and an order. So I run into a guy in there. We're from the same set, right? At this point, there's only 2 of us, right? And it could be like cousins. They're like a bigger set, right? But there's
Okay.
only like 2 of us there and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so we're just like aid and assist, like the bigger set, and we're just kind of like, yeah, we're here. Like shit pops off, whatever.
Okay.
Which is just so being older now, right? It's if you go to prison and you're not already a gang member, don't get in a gang.
Yeah.
You know, because here's what it is.
That's so interesting because we've heard the opposite. You know, you gotta join a gang.
No, man. It comes with so many problems. 2 a.m., I'm getting woken up because of some idiot on the other side of the block shooting a tattoo who got in a fight with somebody over some beef that has nothing to do with me.
But you got to do some of
But
that.
now I got to
Yeah.
lace up and put a lock in a sock.
Oh my god.
You know? And I'm like, fucking idiots.
This is not how I want to do my time. Yeah.
Like, so, you know, that type of shit. And it's just like, what in the fuck? A lot of stress. It's not fucking cool. You know what I mean? So now other fractions are like popping off, right? So the bigger like set, right? That they got like 250 deep, you know? And then it's all like, so all these things originated from like the 60s and like come down into like other sets. So it's like different branches to the same tree, if that makes sense. And
Okay.
in the joint, everybody's riding together, right? It's like me and one other guy, and he was there first, you know? They're like, hell, y'all should start recruiting. Boom, boom, boom. They see somebody else like getting these numbers up and stuff. And we're just like, dude, you don't put people down in the joint. You know? Like that's like a law. Now other sets and stuff, they're created in prison and that's where people get put down. But the one that like I was affiliated with is like from the streets. You get put down on the streets.
I mean, you say put down.
Initiated.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
You have to know certain things. You got to do certain things. Like the first time I ever discharged a firearm was out of a moving vehicle. First time I ever shot a gun, it was out of a moving vehicle, right? And that's like crazy. That's fucked up, you know? So me and the other dude that got there before me, we're like, we got a problem with it because we're like, dude, you're not supposed to do that shit. And then they bring up like some bylaws, and it's all political, and they're like, well, it's a time of war, because these other numbers were like getting ready, like they're getting their numbers up, and it was like shit was about to pop off, and it was like, okay, right. So now I'm second seat, and fast forward a few months, we have like a dozen. There's like a dozen of us.
Okay.
Right.
And you said your second seat, meaning second in command.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how do you recruit somebody? What's that look like? So I'm just coming in.
Yeah. What are you looking at?
What are you telling me?
Ooh. So there was only one person that I ever like approached that I was like, this one's solid. There was only one in my whole time, right? The rest of the time is, other people were like, hey, this dude's solid, boom,
Sure.
boom, boom. And I remember when the head at the time would like come up, I'm like real into like working out. I work out like twice a day. I run. Like I'm just real into like
Routine.
Yeah, I read nonfiction books because I'm trying to make the most of this time.
Sure.
Right. So I'm just like super structured, like disciplined. And so I'll be doing a workout, and they'll bring people to meet me, or whatever, and they'll be like, "This is so and so. If I go in the hole, you're gonna do what he tells you, or whatever." And so they would come up, I meet them, and be like, "Yeah, and then I just go back to my shit, right? I'm shooting tattoos, so like my box is full. You'll do things like bird feeding them, right? Give them some food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do things to create like trust, and there are like psychological things that you are doing because you need to know if this dude is like, if some real shit pops off, are they going to be there?
Okay.
Right. Now also, so at this point in time, I just hit like my 30s. I'm looking at like 18, 19-year-old kids. Don't have a fucked up family structure.
Yep.
Don't really have nothing, no family. There are certain things that you're looking for, like you are looking for this like psychological makeup of like what's gonna make somebody solid, where they're gonna be there. And then the head, he gets judicial. Didn't see this coming. I think I'm leaving the gate like a second seat, and I don't really have that much to worry about. I have like polish. I know all the heads from all the compounds from being in 8 House when I first got there, right? And so he gets judicial, and so now like I'm calling it for this little 12-man unit on the yard, and we're like a cousin, and like the guys really got like 250 deep. So because there's only like 12 of us, we're really scrutinized. So it's like I got like a Spartan like mental attitude. Like for one, you have to be able to do at least 10 pull-ups on a bar. Like there's like physical requirements you have to be able to do.
Wow.
Otherwise, you're not like getting in with us because we're so small and like scrupulated.
We got to have the best of the best.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's like, like the 250 deep, there might be dudes doing certain things, and it's like, we don't do that shit.
Yeah.
So when the head guy got judicialed out, did you take over the top spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now it's like, and it's weird because when you get in that position, right? And it's not like a lot of people ask, like, how do you get to that power? A lot of it was just like, I don't know, like fate or something, right? But it's not the smartest and it's not the strongest. It's the ones who can adapt to that situation the best, right? And see like angles and stuff. And so at that point in time, it becomes weird because now you're on a basis with all the other heads on the compound. And now you have to have relations with all of them.
Right.
And you have to like keep rapport.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time now, it's not like, oh, look at me. It's like now your job is to keep all your guys out of the hole.
Yeah.
And to send them home to their families alive.
Jesus.
Which is like real.
It's like real life politics. Like you really have to go around to all the other heads and like work this thing.
And and it's like, and other people might look at it like, oh, it's so cool. And it's like, dude, it's not. It's not. But then also you can't pull out because then you will get clapped out by your own set.
Right.
So then you can't show weakness. There's certain things like we had one dude doing something, violations happen, and mine that you had to hang. I would be like, send him out to the bars and have him hang from the bar, and every guy is giving him a gut shot.
Oh.
And if he falls off that bar, it's starting over again.
Ooh.
And while they're doing that, I'm like running laps around the track, right?
Wow.
And then I would have, so there's different blocks going on too. So I got to know what's going on the blocks. I have to be on the yard for every wreck.
You have like a job. It's like a job.
Oh, yeah.
It's a full-time job.
Full time.
What the hell?
And then are you able to sleep at night, like comfortably? Can you,
Yeah.
you know, like?
Well, I'm sure up
I'll sleep
top,
like a
at the,
baby.
at the top, you're probably sleeping pretty good.
Never worry about like some youngster like wanted to, you know, knock you off.
Oh, I
and-
had opposition as like bunkies a lot of times, you know? And they knew, I remember I had like Heartless Felons were starting to get their numbers back up, like towards the end of like my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bunkie, and I just told him, I was like, I don't care what you do, just don't bring no fuck shit over here. And then I had, oh my God, I had a 50-year-old son, which was crazy.
What do you mean?
Like somebody you took under your wing.
So
kinda
when you
deal?
son somebody, it's like you protect them and shit.
Uh-huh.
And I was the master. So like I said, I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief, and a con man on the weekend. And I was the master of friendly extortion.
I could see that.
So how we got this dude was, so I got this other big set of 250 guys, but like we're all family and work together, right? So I sent 2 dudes over. There's a confrontation, right? That happens. You know what I'm saying? And they, you know, may rough them up a little bit, may scare them,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then they go off. Now this guy doesn't know that I know all these people.
Right,
Yeah.
and then you
Or-
So you
swoop
come
in.
in like
Three,
the hero.
it's 3 friends and a stranger.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, man.
So what's going on? And I'll just wait for them to come to me. And then I remember I'm on a phone call, and I'm calling my daughter. And I had certain things, like I'm like, that's the only person I call on the phone, but I'll call my daughter. I had like a routine, like every Friday night I'm calling
Sure.
her, talking to her. And he comes up, and he's like, boom, boom. And I was like, you didn't listen to me the first time. I'm on the phone, and I was like real like aggressive, and I was just like, I don't know, man. You might just get what's coming to you. And the only thing I told him to get was because some of the guys under me, they really like, since they're young, they want to improve themselves.
Yep.
Right? So they're real quick to like, if there's a chomo,
Jump.
they're gonna fuck them
They'll
up.
jump. Yeah.
If somebody's snitching in the block, they're gonna fuck them up like real quick. And I'm trying to show them other angles. So I get this dude to order a fudge kit. And I'm like, look, man, he's going to get this fudge kit. Then you can go and sling this fudge, whip it up, sling it, and then fill your box up. So I'm trying to always like create more out of nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then guys in other blocks, because one of them, it was like 6 House was like when there was an intake. And every set, whoever had somebody in that intake like block had a certain day of when new people came in, where it was like that was like their pick and shit. And so
It's like drafting.
exactly,
Essentially, yeah.
exactly. And so we'd be picking out of there, and so I'd be hearing these stories, right? I'd have other like heads come up to me and they'd be like, "Man, we don't know what's gonna happen when you leave." They're like, "Dude," and they would tell me how wild like my guys would be, and they like pretty much explaining like when they were on the yard around me, like I had them on a leash. And when like they like I wasn't around, they would like get really wild and like just aggressive and be fucking people up and shit. And they were like, they could tell like if it was on the yard, I would like have them like polish up a little bit
Right.
and like tighten up the leash. And they're like, we don't know what's gonna happen when you leave.
So with this 50-year-old guy, it was like a good cop, bad cop kind of thing. Like you knew the 2 guys that went in, and then they fucked with him, and now he's feeling like, oh man, like what do I do? And you're like, oh no, bro, like here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this and this and this, and I got you.
It was a situation that presented itself because he fucked with the wrong people or something. He clapped back or got an attitude to somebody, and he's not in a set. He probably had one of them fucking cases. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's probably chamo, so he's still, you know, get money on the books. And I remember I didn't even really take nothing. I facilitated that deal, right? Because a lot of it for me was like I need to make moves to build loyalty around me, right? And a big thing was like making sure like people were eating around me. Like that was like a big thing, right? And so something popped off, and I remember I was on the back wall having a talk with one of my guys about something stupid. Like it's always something stupid, you know? And then I'm sitting there like, why can't you figure this out yourself? Like it's crazy. And then that popped up, and I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to swoop in. I'm going to get you all something. I was like, don't let me go in and like politic this little shit. And got them a little like kit, and then they took off, you know?
Interesting.
I remember like months later, like
You're slick.
Full box.
You're slick, bro. You're slicker than I thought you were.
Nah, not at all. Still got caught. Still went to prison.
Yeah, but you're slick.
So how long you sitting there for? That first run?
Did you do the whole 18 or whatever it was?
No, I did 2 because I had to go back
for the
burglary.
Okay.
And they gave me the 2, and then they ran it together, which is what I was hoping for.
And what's your dad do when he finds out, like, you, for sure, you're the, like, he doesn't disown you or anything? Like, just rob my fucking house and...
I mean, I'm sure he was upset, you know? Also, I mean, you know, I was ripping and running.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So you get out of Belmont, right, after you do your 2.
Yeah.
And what happens next? You go right back to the streets, or what? Are you thinking like maybe I should clean my shit up, or?
So Mama Dukes, right? She's coming to visit me. I still got her in my life, you know.
Good.
Thank God, love her to death. She is in Gulfport, Mississippi at the time, right? At this point, she is putting in to become Postmaster General for U.S. Post Office.
Okay.
Right? So like she's worked for the government her entire life.
Sure.
You know, she gets a bid to go to Hamilton, Ohio, right? And she's like, "You can come stay with me in Middletown, Ohio." Everybody thought it'd be a good idea, right? Because I would be out of the city. You know, geographical cure.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for here. Right?
Sure.
I get out. First day I get out. Now what I had, first day I get out, I call a hotline. Dude comes, picks me up, takes me to a meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Right on.
You know.
So you did something right. You
I
did
took
something
some
right.
suggestions,
Yeah.
like coming out the gate.
Okay.
Right. I was still working out. Can't find a job. So when I touch down in Middletown, Ohio, I find out it's the top 10 like most dying cities in America.
Yeah.
Was down there for a couple years. What I learned after being down there, obviously you get the girlfriend. You know, you go native, the girlfriend takes you around, introduces you to everybody. It opens a lot of doors.
Right.
For whatever reason, I'm just a manipulative fuck.
Yep.
Right. And I find out there was a steel mill down there, Acres, I believe it is, Acres Steel. I might be wrong on it. And I talked to the townspeople, and I'm like, why ain't that steel mill booming? And why is everybody in poverty down here? Because y'all built that steel mill, right? And it's because like contracts get moved overseas. And then I remember I was talking to one of the people, talking to one of the Masons down there. They're associated with the Blue Lodge and Masonic Temple, Freemasons, all that. Talking to one of them, and they give me the guy's name. You know, like they're like the dude sold the whole town out, right? For a profit, which is just sad. And like China owns that mill now.
Okay.
And now with poverty comes crime.
Yep. Drugs.
Addiction.
Yep.
No way out.
Yep.
Girls selling themselves on the street. And this was supposed to be like a small, like American,
It's a little suburb.
you know, town. Like it's supposed to be an Americana.
Yeah.
And it's a trap.
The whole town.
Yeah, it's just sad. I've been tattooing in the joint, so I get some. I'm able to get like some like yard work, like break people's leaves, trim their bushes, because I can't find a job in that town because there's no jobs. Like I go everywhere.
Well, not to mention you have a criminal record on top of that.
Yeah.
So God forbid you find a job and then
So my parole officer gives me a list of places to go.
Okay.
And I'm like, Johnny on the spot, I'm trying to do good. I'm really like, I'm turning my life around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the right thing. Every place I go on that list is shut down. It doesn't exist. Like, there's an empty factory there. And I'm like,
Yep.
what the fuck? So I like live off the land. I hustled up enough money to get some tattoo equipment. And now I'm just going to tattoo people. And I'm doing like $20 tattoos.
Damn.
Just start getting my name out there.
Yep.
And it's like, talk to people, start doing tattoo parties. Well, we got parties.
Yep.
Bam.
Party favors.
Bam. Didn't take long. I made it 4 or 5 months. Right?
It's good.
Smoked some weed with my girlfriend's pops. Wanted that, like, what's it called?
Bonding.
Like drinking a beer with them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't last long, man.
How soon after that were you back to
Back to prison?
the heavy? No, but the heavy shit.
Dude, I think I smoked some weed. Me and the girl break up. Granddad dies. I'm in college, trying to turn my life around. I'm going to Cincinnati State. Granddad dies. I get a message from the family. They need men to come and bury him because, so one of my cousins, Derek, he's a tank commander. He's in the war.
Your family is so decorated.
We're Afghanistan?
Like,
Damn.
Yeah, this is 2014. And then my other cousin, Cameron, he's Navy brass and he's on a submarine.
jeez.
So you can't even contact him for
Right.
another 3 months. And they're like, we need men to come and bury Granddad. And I was like in a position where like I had like some money stacked up. I had time. I was like, I'll be there.
Hmm.
Go out there and bury him. And it was wild. I'm like, I gotta go get a pack. I'm at the hotel. I'm like, I gotta go get a pack of cigarettes or something. And I'm going on the elevator, and this dude comes up. He's like, what's up, man? I'm like, what's up, bro? Because I don't know a stranger.
Yeah.
He's like, you smoke? And I just looked at him. I was like, smoke what? He smiled, right? And got some bud right there. Got some Cali bud. I didn't touch down for 15 minutes. Got some Cali bud.
That quick.
Dude, he sold me 2 grams for like $5.
That quick.
I was like, I wish I could get this over there.
Yeah.
And it was some loud, and I don't have nothing to smoke with. So I'm getting apples
Oh, man. Going
Ah.
back.
From the
Middle school
lobby.
style.
from the lobby. And I
the
go
old
up
apple.
on the roof of the hotel, and I had 2 sessions. In the morning, I'll be on the roof, and I'll be looking at the mountains and the ocean, and I'd smoke out my apple, and then I'd eat the apple.
Damn.
And then I go throughout the day dealing with the family and all that stuff. And it was wild because I was back in the house that I was like living in as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Banning Way Drive. It was like right down from Phineas Banning's mansion, which is okay. So backstory in LA. So a lot of people think Los Angeles is LA because of Hollywood, but Los Angeles is LA because it has the world's 2nd largest harbor. And it's only second to Hong Kong, which you would never beat because of the geographical location. And Phineas Banning is the man who like built L.A. Harbor and made it what it was.
Okay. And you lived right down the street.
Yeah. Well, he's like one of my ancestors.
Okay.
Which
God.
is wild. It's my mother's mother. Her name was Banning.
So you went out to Cali to bury Granddad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come back. And I'm going up to Chicago like 2 days later, do some tattoos for my kid's sister. And this is wild. And I'm talking to the ex, right? But she's seeing some other dude. I'm just like, oh, whatever. And I'm still managing. I'm just smoking weed. Find some weed in Chicago again.
Sure.
My sister's like, because I wanted to smoke with my sister, right? And I was like, your boyfriend can't find any weed? It's like, he's lame.
Watch this. Or look at this.
And we went, well, I smoked on mine on the way up there or something. And so we go, where was it? We go to like the liquor store. She goes to get something to drink. And then she comes out and she's like, that guy smelled like weed. And I'm like, who? Where? And I roll up on him.
Yep.
I'm like, what's up, man? My name's Jack. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm out of town. I'm here visiting my kid's sister. You got some loud on you? what's up, bro? I'm just looking for like a blunt or something.
Yeah.
Talking right into it.
That easy.
Like, and I get back, and it was like 2 days later, my ex, her father commits suicide.
Jesus.
Blows his brains out.
Oh.
And I just seen him like 4 days later because my ex picked me up from the airport when I got back from LA. And he like loved me, right? And so like I went to visit him, and he thought we were getting back together, and then me and her didn't. And then he like blows his brains out. I'm like, what the fuck? And I would go and visit him, even though me and her like broke up and stuff.
He's still your
Help
guy.
him work on his car. Like he built like a dang race car.
It's your guy.
And you know, of course, like we'd smoke and stuff, but I wasn't like robbing nobody or nothing at this time.
Did it fuck you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got to the funeral, and all these people are talking all this stuff, and I was like, I went and seen Mike a lot, and I ain't met none of you people ever.
Mm.
You know?
Okay.
But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was like because he was like a father figure to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was hard. It wasn't fun.
And you transitioned from weed back to the heroin or the opiates at any point?
Yeah, I'm trying to think when. So, I drop out of college. I get I get an opportunity to apprentice in this tattoo shop, so I can get licensed. Right?
It's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah, I still had a passion for it.
Yeah.
Right? And sometime around then, it was like something popped up. I'm traveling a little bit too between Columbus and Cincinnati and tattooing. And at some point, it was like some pills popped up. I think maybe it was like a little cocaine. But I can't do cocaine if I don't have downers.
Yeah, you gotta have something to come
down.
down
I'm
on.
the same
I'm
way.
not doing it. I
I'm
need
the same way.
something. I need something to come down. And then it was like, oh yeah. And then the next day, well, I'm not feeling so good. Let me just get a perk. Make a phone call. And the next thing you know, it's got you wrapped up. And I was doing these Opanas.
Oh, yep. I remember those babies. And it's funny, they were around, so like 2009, 2010 is when I really got into like Oxycontin in the 80s and shit. But there were Opanas around, and I don't know that many people got their hands on them, but those babies were something else. The stop sign shaped 40s, I believe. They were yellow, if my memory serves me correctly.
These ones I was getting were pink.
Okay, so they're 20s. I think those were the 20s.
But I was like...
Yeah, that shit was...
I never liked them.
I love them.
Yeah, I didn't, because like I got them when they like stopped doing the oxys, and those became the new oxy. But with the time release shit that you couldn't
They
crack.
ended up changing the formula on those
Yeah, you couldn't crack them, so...
Yeah.
I think I just liked them because that's what they had.
Yeah. No,
it's
they
like,
were. It's a great.
available,
No,
yeah.
that was a really like high quality pharmaceutical fucking opiate.
Somebody telling me, "Oh yeah, these are for cancer patients."
Yeah, like that.
Like, great.
That's strong
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
And now I'm thinking like, well, somebody had cancer and wasn't taking their pain pills because that's the only way they could get into the street.
Right.
And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that was probably somebody's grandma or something dying, and they slipped them, or they, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Also, like, there's so much poverty there. People do that stuff. They'll get something and they'll sell it so that they can make like do.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you picked up the Opanas and the opiates again. I know you mentioned you had been to prison multiple times. When does your second, third go round or come through, and what for?
So this one was for what was it? It's a F5 theft.
And you went
What?
to prison
You
for
went to prison
this?
for that?
Yeah.
What'd you?
Well, you know what I stole?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what'd you steal?
Stole my mother's wedding bands
Oh.
and pawned them.
I tried that once. I didn't get them though.
What?
That's
Now you want to hear my fucked up thinking in my head? Well, she divorced this guy, and they're not married
Yeah,
anyway.
means
They
nothing
don't matter
to
to her. And I'm assuming it was over. It had to be over $1,000 for it to be a felony, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what she priced it at. Who knows?
Right.
You know, she's pretty savage. Like, fucking ruined that relationship. She doesn't talk to me to this day.
Really.
Yeah, I got out of prison one time, like 2019, and it was coming up like on Christmas Eve, and somebody had like found her number or something, right? And whatever broad I was with at the time, was like, you should call your mother, talk to her. And I was like, you don't know her.
Yeah, you don't get it.
You don't
You don't
understand.
know her. Like, once it's like, she's just sad, like, you know, love her to death. Like, laid my life down for her. You know what I mean? She's a strong woman. I mean, she's a damn shield maiden, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
But when she's done, she's done. Like, and like the last time I seen her, and she was like, I'm done with you, right? You know? I went to hug her. I was like, I still love you. I understand. Bam, stiff arm.
Damn.
Damn, we got hit with a stiff arm.
Like, boom, don't touch me. You ain't getting no hug.
And that's where the whole 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone thing comes in.
Yeah.
And that's 100%
Exactly.
true. Like, why should I believe that you're going to change?
You better believe it.
You know?
So did you get
And
did you get the whole year for the F5?
I got 2 years.
What? How?
How?
What the fuck?
The mandatory or the minimum or maximum is a year, right?
Yeah.
Because there are 2 of them.
No. So, I catch this case down in Middletown. It gets transferred over. So it's Butler County down there.
Okay.
So I go to Hamilton, Ohio for common pleas court. Right, a lot of people get that switched up with Cincinnati
Okay.
because Cincinnati is
Yep.
Hamilton County.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's all down there in that
Okay.
area. So I go to court. In my mind, you can't give me nothing but a year.
Yeah.
I got ego, all types
Yeah,
of
you're
stuff
thinking
going
whatever.
on,
A year.
you know. And so I get in there and I run my mouth.
Oh, you wanted
I
those
run my
type.
cocksucker rapid, dude.
Who are you doing that to? The judge?
The judge.
Oh man.
That never
I
works,
love
brother.
Those videos,
that
bro.
never works, my man.
Dude said some shit, and they're reading off like. So prior to this too, there was another situation that happened with me and one of my buddies. We got raided. So it's wild. So I caught the F5, right? I get cuffed up. I get taken down to jail. My old lady comes out, bonds me out.
Okay.
Parole comes down. They make me sit there at night, and then he's like, okay, you're out. You're bonded out. This is another case. We don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Right? Now, me and my old lady are on the outs, so now I'm with my buddy. We're at this trap, and we get raided. Right? And we get on the news.
And you're on parole and you have an open case.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you just wrong place, wrong time?
Oh, I'm a willing
he's
participant.
I mean,
he's
like,
in the trap.
It's not your
so.
trap house though. You're just there purchasing.
Oh, yeah. This is stuff I'm talking. My name ain't on this lease. Blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
You're
But
just
I'm-
there. You're
I'm-
You're there for a
You're
reason.
Moving, you're moving out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And I remember the news like blowed it up. It was bad.
Well, it's a small town.
So it was
of course
like-
they did.
Yeah, it was like 50,000 in weed. And I remember me and my buddy talking. We were like, I don't think we had that much. We had pounds, you know, but we were like, was it that much? Are they bumping the numbers up? But then they talked about so my buddy, he's a vet, right? He's in the 75th. Did some contracting work after that. So he's got a lot of guns, right? And so there's like show all the guns. He's got suppressors, this type of stuff, right?
You're a felon.
He's got the sexy stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And I'm a felon, so I
Yeah.
shouldn't be there. And then they're like 30,000 rounds of ammunition and all this different stuff. But he's got a range, and he trains, and he teaches class, and this type of stuff too. So it was just like a big like. But long story short, the reason they were there is they were looking for a body, right? They were looking for a person. Said person is not there, right? So I guess how they poisoned the tree by finding like the drugs and stuff was they looked in a crevice that a body cannot be in or a person cannot be like hiding, and so somehow that stuff just like disappeared, like withered away, right? But me and him got cuffed up, got sent down. I had already had my lawyer paid for the F5. So when the detective comes, I'm like, well, you can call my lawyer. He can come down.
Yep.
You know? And then I remember the detective, he like slammed his like fucking shit, was like pissed off. And then we go to Montgomery County, which is Dayton jail. And I'm there for like a day or two, and I'm like running around shooting basketball, like, because I'm so used to being locked up that it ain't
Isn't that crazy how used to jail you get and how it becomes normal and you know how to navigate it? It's so bizarre. Like, I never saw myself seeing a jail cell, but once I saw it over and over and over, I was like, fuck, I
know what to do.
Yeah, I
here.
can do this.
It's autopilot.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, I get released.
Wow.
Right? And then he gets released like another 12 hours later. And that whole thing just poof.
Just disappeared.
Interesting.
However, I still have an F5.
Yeah.
Right? There was this big high-profile case that was on the news that I was a part of. So when I go back in front of the judge...
And you're talking shit.
Right? Well, before that, when they bring up, like, the F5 and I'm in court, they bring all that up. I go into court, I'm still out on bond. Right? They bring that stuff up. And I don't know if I'm going to get violated. I go to court, and then I have to see my PO that day.
Yep.
But when I'm in the courtroom... the prosecutor is bringing up, well, he was at so-and-so, and it says, like, they were looking for a body, they found this and this, so it just makes me look a million times worse.
Right.
Like just real bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, nothing's changed. He's still the same old
Hell
fucking
no.
scumbag.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Go see the PO, they throw me in the clink. And then all
Violated
it does is, like, you know, we talk about the ego and stuff, it elevates my status in there. Because people saw me earlier
Now
that
you
day
got
in my
caught with
suit.
drugs and
now they're like, oh, that dude's out there doing it. They're coming at him for bodies and all this different stuff. And I sit in there for 10 days, and then they release me and put me on an ankle monitor. And I make it like another 3 or 4 months, and then, you know, it's over with. I got to go back to the joint.
How long? So you did 2 years on the second bid around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm on parole. PRC.
So they
Post-release
violated.
control. And so I didn't know they could do this. And so he gives me the whole year
For the F5.
on the F5, and then he gives me all my PRC time.
Yep.
And then he runs it wild.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
Yep. That's the parole game.
Got him.
They will fuck you up.
Yeah.
So you do another 2. I'm assuming it's similar to the first go round. I don't know if chill, maybe a little more chill. Different camp, I assume.
Yeah, I got a chili bobo.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Chili bobo. Well, that's what they call it. Chillicothe.
Okay,
Death Row's down
okay.
there. It's the largest camp in the state, which was awesome. You got this huge track. You got a bunch of bars to work out on. My first day I get up there, the Sarge pulls me in the office because at this point in time, I'm like flagged for like my gang activity and all that. And he was like, don't be shooting no tattoos on my block. Don't be recruiting. I don't want to see none of it, you know. And I'd already talked to the gang coordinator at CRC, and I was like, dude, I'm like retired. I don't do that anymore. I don't fuck with that shit, you know, because it gives you more headaches than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So this time around, I'm like, well, I'm not tattooing in here. I'm not gangbang. I got to find something different. So I go to school. I got my associates in business management on my second time around. And I try to teach myself some Spanish as best I could because I had another plan.
Which was what, out of curiosity?
Oh, man, I had this crazy plan.
All right, please tell us your plan that has to do with speaking Spanish.
Because you probably need Spanish if you're going to go into South America.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Going to business school.
Getting the
just
traveling
like
business,
pass time. Because I find out that you can get your passport back if you're a felon as long as you don't have a trafficking case.
That is, that is true.
Right?
Yep.
At first, everyone's like, no, once you're a felon, you can't leave the country.
People
That's
don't.
not true.
People are wrong
They
about a
don't look
lot
at
of.
it.
They're wrong about voting. They're wrong
yeah.
about the passport
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I have this plan in my mind, right, where I'm like, I'm gonna learn these skills, and I'm like, I just want to leave the country. I don't want to live in America anymore. I'm like, there's nothing here for me.
I get
Like,
it.
I might as well learn a language. Blah, blah, And so I start kicking it with a bunch of Sereno Treses just to learn Spanish.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not really like in a gang anymore, but I'm still like kicking it with like gang members and shit. This one dude, Smokey, was like straight out of a movie. He was crazy. He was from Bakersfield, so he's from the West Coast,
California, yeah.
right? So we had things in common, and he would teach me a whole bunch of like slang and stuff with the language, and so I got like a real like barrio, like dirty
Dirty,
accent.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like I would sound like an idiot if you sent me to like Columbia and I'm talking to a professor.
Right.
You're like, this dude's trash.
Right.
Right. So I get that language and I got this plan. I was like, I want to be a pilot. Right. My mother's father, he made pilot. Right. He did a whole bunch of stuff in his life. And I was like, I want to learn how to pilot aircraft. And I see this thing in a paper when I'm still in the joint. Right. And I'm talking to my godmother, who's also my aunt. She's like my mother's like Irish twin. They're like 9 months apart in age. She's working at SHAPE, which is Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe at the time, over in Belgium. NATO. This is part of NATO.
Okay.
She's done her whole military career, military industrial complex. So I'm writing her, and how we're cheating the postage is I'm writing the APO, the Army Post Office, so I don't have to pay overseas like postage.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's how like I'm like, you know, we're like cheating, but whatever. So we're communicating, and I tell her, and she tells me too, because her second language is German, and she's like, don't be picking up too much slang in there. I know like you're doing good because it's immersion and you're like hanging out with them people and you're learning their language. But she was like, you need to like remember your high Spanish because you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow, that type of shit. And then I tell her, I find this article that there's a flight school here in Columbus, Don Scott Airfield,
Okay.
right? And you can get your license there and stuff. And I was like, I want to go do that. That was like my goal, my plan or whatever, right? I was like, I want to do that. So I get out. One of my little brothers comes, picks me up. I'm big brother, so of course little brother does what big brother does,
Mhm.
right? And dude, I didn't last 10 minutes. I'm smoking weed in the parking lot, right? So you can just see like my dreams and visions just
Gone.
whittling away.
In a puff of smoke.
So we'll fast forward. There was a wreck, like an incident that happened. I broke 10 bones on my foot. I was laid up, so I couldn't work, and it was like a perfect time. So I didn't make the fall. I had planned on going to flight school in the fall at Don Scott, but I made the winter one. Yeah, so 2018, I got this broken foot I'm repairing from, and I'm in flight school at Don Scott, which is like OSU's, like where they do their stuff. But I'm
Sure.
going at night. It's like 90% of the people don't even know that class exists or whatever,
That's cool.
which is like sweet.
Yeah.
There's 17 people in there. Out of 17, 7 of us graduated. Out of the 7, it was like 5 of us had like some working knowledge of a foreign language. And that was the hardest like class I've ever took in my life. Dude, you have like 6 books in it.
Oh.
There's so much more to like,
Jeez.
and that was just like the ground school. You graduate that to take your FA written, and then you can like, you know, start flying. 2 weeks in a flight school, the girl I'm with at the time, she's carrying our twins, and she has a miscarriage. And at this point in life, I'm like, I'm sober, I'm not drinking, I'm not getting high, I'm back in the gym. And a lot of people could have been like, you could drop out of flight school. Like, that's like, you know, some devastating stuff. It was Mackenzie Grace and Jacob Ezra. It's a boy and a girl. I was like, I never really quit nothing in my life, you know? And so I stuck with it. I'm doing crime scene cleanup during the day.
Interesting.
So people will say, like, just because you're a convict, you can't get no jobs. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
It's
because
I've
you're
had
not,
some
you're not,
jobs,
you're not
baby.
looking, man.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's an effort thing and a
Yeah,
the
man.
willingness. You're gonna hear no. You're gonna hear no, but you got to keep going.
Yeah, you're going to find crazy opportunities.
I mean, yeah, the shit that I work for our local news station. It's just like I just did all the right things. Like fortunately I was able to get my record sealed, but that's a step you have to take.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's things you can do.
So order operations.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's things that you can do to get back on track. I'm with you 100% on that. I love to hear you say that.
Yeah, I'm not big on that
Poor
boo-hoo,
me.
poor me.
Yep.
Like, I ain't a victim, I'm a survivor.
Yep.
I survived all that
And if
crazy
I
stuff.
survive that, I can do whatever I can do. I know I can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you talk about the successes you've had, and I truly believe, like, you can talk God, you can talk the universe,
Sure.
whatever it is giving. As long as you're putting in the work.
Yep.
At some point,
100%.
something's going to flip, and that
Yeah.
tide's going to turn for
Yep.
you.
You just got to take action. You got to, meet God or whatever you call it halfway.
Yeah.
I always like to say, if you lock me in a closet and I pray for a hot dog to come through a keyhole, that bitch is never gonna come. It's never gonna come. I got to do something to get out of that closet. You know, that's as simple as that.
I like that.
When did we cross paths? After all your prison bids, and you ended up at my facility where I was working.
Yeah.
And obviously, since then, you've gotten it together. Take us there. And how did you get there? Like, what was the crime or what happened that?
February 6, 2022. I'm on a Greyhound from Cleveland to Dayton. I get off to get a burrito, and I come back, and I didn't make the bus in time. And so I'm hitchhiking in Mansfield, Ohio, and I get picked up by a state trooper, and I have a warrant for, like, failure to appear for parole, and they pick me up, and I'm high as a kite.
Of all the dumb shit
Iced
to get pulled
out.
over for.
Yeah.
Ain't been sleeping. Yeah, I got pulled over, and I didn't even have a car. That's wild. And the cop, he's like, do you have anything on you? If they find it on you when you get in here, it's conveyance, and that's a felony.
Yep.
I thought about it, and I was actually on my way to see a buddy to tell him to take me to treatment. If he took me, I would have went. I never been to, like, a rehab or none of that in my life. But I finally hit that point. I was like, I got to do something. So I give the cop the drugs. And obviously that's 3 years ago. I'm currently fighting that case.
Wow.
Got an ankle monitor, but I paid the lawyer off. I turned myself in. I sat in jail for like 6 hours. And the judge today, he's talking prison, so we'll see.
Okay.
It's like a F5 aggravated possession. Maybe it'll be probation. Trying to get dropped to a misdemeanor. Who knows? So that led to CBCF getting locked up. Parole comes back. They don't know what to do with me. They're like, you want to do this program? I'm like, oh, I'm hip to that. I wanted that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So going to in lieu of prison.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And so I get there. I know I need some type of help or something, right? I've never been in rehab. I go until you lock me up in a box.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
I'm the
Right?
same way.
Like I can't do it on my own.
Can't stop.
I have to have like some outside thing. I truly believe that was God. You know, what do you do with your most prized possessions? Right? Like your money, your jewels,
Lock 'em
your
up.
guns. You know, you put them in the safe, right? You keep them under lock and key. And I truly believe that's what God did for me that day, right? So I get to good old CBCF, lockdown facility, hanging out with Lewis. And I'll never forget, I got a really good story. You're about to come in and give a little lead in there, right? And talk to everybody in the block.
Which is something I loved being able to do because it was a way to show you guys like, yo, I'm you. Like, I know you see the radio, you see the keys, you see the office, whatever, but like just so you guys know I'm you as well. And it helped me gain respect from the inmates. That's how I looked at it. It was one of my favorite things to do. But go on.
I'm so glad you brought that up. 10 minutes before you come and speak, I'm like talking to one of the guys. I'm like 2 weeks in there or something. And I'm like, this ain't so bad. And I told him, I was like kind of clowning, but half serious. I was like, you know, I'm going to get a job here. I want one of them walkie-talkies. Like, it was like one of those things I couldn't have that I wanted. I was like, I wish I had a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd work in here, you know? And then you came in and said you had been right in that place in the same hall that I was in, and you're working there now. And it was like, it blew my mind. But it locked me in. You also said a phrase that has stuck with me. being sober gives you a competitive edge in life.
Yep.
And me being a dang con man and a manipulator, I took that to heart. I could relate to that. I was like, oh, I can do better.
I heard that early on, and it's one of my favorite lines to date, man, because it's 100% true.
Yeah, I drop that nugget a lot.
Yeah.
When I'm out talking.
Yeah, man. It's a good one.
And so I could relate to you, right? And then that showed me like there's a different path, you know. I don't have to be in this vicious cycle anymore, right? And also, you know, I had some trouble in there. I stayed on lope.
Yeah.
I was loped
Which is
out.
loss of all privileges. You could lose your commissary, your phone.
Which didn't matter because there was nobody that was going to pick up the phone for my
at that
call.
point,
And I didn't have no money in there, so I didn't get commissary.
Right.
I took a hit for a bag of coffee.
Mm.
And I remember you were like, you didn't even do that. It was somebody commented on a worker's pants. They were like, there's some tight ass pants you got on there. And then the dude like just got so upset, right? And then somebody had to like take out for it. I was like, I need that bag of coffee. I'll take out. And I'm like calculating how many points I can get and still graduate.
And still be there, yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
So would somebody just have a bag of coffee they weren't supposed to have, or one too many?
Oh, off the commissary.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm not drinking coffee.
Yeah.
And you can't trade or barter in that
you
facility.
did it for a bag of coffee. Okay.
So I had I'm used to I can get by in the joint if I don't have any outside help because I can live off the land.
Yeah.
Hustle and do my thing. And there,
it's kind of
you
slow.
can't do
it's
that.
A little slow
it's a
in
little
there.
tougher.
So I had to wiggle. I did a little like laundry hustle that some of the staff had to look the other way, and all it really was just like folding some laundry. But I was like, at least I earned that. I don't know. That's kind of like prison culture or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just going around handing your cup out.
Yeah.
Because that's
have
just
a hustle.
that's looked down upon.
Yeah.
Frowned upon.
100%.
And that was where I don't know, the key shift was for me. Those classes, I started paying attention, trying to figure out how my thought process is, how it's messed up, right? Started looking at myself. Started going to some meetings.
We ran some recovery meetings in there.
Yep. And I didn't really have a plan when I got out, But, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have nobody, nothing. Like, a lot of people in there still have, like, their families and this type of stuff. I don't have none of that. And I remember I was, like, fighting for the last month just to get, like, somewhere to go. I was like, so I'm going to be homeless. I can't be homeless. I'm on parole, these type of things. And they finally found some place for me to go. Went to the Oasis program.
They had that outside of the joint?
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's the same program, but that's what this one was.
Outpatient type thing.
Yeah, and I'm across the street from what's it called? Amazon, right? And I'm on like Nelson and Broad downtown, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have an ID. Like, there's all this like little things I gotta get before I could get a job.
It's a bitch.
Yeah,
dude.
And I'm starting from nothing. The shoes I had have holes in them, in the bottoms of the feet. Like, I have like a pair of jeans and a pair of sweats and 2 shirts, and that's it.
That's you.
And it was but life was so good. Like, I don't know. It's weird if you miss those days, but those days, dude, I was just so happy all the time. I don't know. It was weird.
I get it.
I was spiritually fit.
Stay sober. That was your key job.
Yeah, that was it. I knew if I did that, other things were going to happen, or God, the universe was going to produce some stuff. One of the guys who was coming in there bringing meetings, I called him the day I got out, and I went to a meeting. And then I would walk to that little meeting hall, and it'd be like an hour and a half walk. And I love those walks.
Wow.
That was my time. That's how bad I was.
That's the commitment.
I don't know how to live.
Yep.
And I knew I could hustle up a ride once I got there.
Yeah.
People will give you a ride, yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift of gab, which led to a little sales gig, right? Name, address, phone number. I was chasing leads, banging doors, right? And I remember when I first started, it was like nerve-wracking. If they had a fence, I wasn't opening the fence. I would look for reasons not to knock on the door. And then by the end of that little season, and I didn't fill a job application, someone was just like, hey, I can train you and to do something. I can train you to be a closer. And we're talking like one call closer, high pressure sales.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what was like gifted to me, you know? Man, I can't thank that man enough for doing that. And normally a typical setting, if you're getting trained in that type of stuff, you're in a classroom. And me, it was in a minivan on the way to a neighborhood where he dropped me off.
On the way to do it.
On the way to do it. And he would be like, give me some prompts. He'd teach me like forced choice.
How to overcome objections.
All of that, yeah. And it would be like one little thing, and he'd be like, try this when you talk to people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I get $10 a lead. Some days I want to get a lead, but I ain't going to get high.
Right.
You know?
Still a win.
And then other days, I'd rack them up. I'd be on fire. And then I started figuring out, I was like, what day do you want the appointment set? I could, like, talk them into, like, getting the day and starting to figure it out. And then another incident happens. And at this point, I'm aggressive. I'm aggressive at the door. You got a gate? I don't care. I'm opening that gate. I'm coming and knocking on your door.
Sure.
Don't let me see you in the backyard.
Mm.
Hey!
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm kicking them doors down. No. So I finally overcame that, like, shyness or whatever.
Fear. It's really the
Right?
fear of rejection.
Yeah.
With sales, at least.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that
But,
gets
hey,
you.
man, you need 5 no's to get that one yes.
Yeah,
I'm on it. I'm
exactly.
like, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm knocking on a door, and it's one of my exes, and her husband comes out.
Oh, man.
And me and her were, like, having an affair. She was, like, left her husband. So he doesn't like me. He pulls a knife on me.
At the door while you're selling
Well,
them?
where we get to the driveway, he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, your driveway's fucked up. You trying to get concrete?
Always be closing.
Yeah, I still was trying to, like, make a deal. What do you mean? I got a clipboard right here, right? And he pulls this knife. And I remember I was like, oh, he's been training. He pulled his knife out so quick. Like,
Ready to go.
And I bust him in the face with my clipboard. And then we got to tussling. And it was like, normally I would have just snatched him up, you know, and took him to the ground, right? I just would have grappled immediately. But he had that knife. So I got to, like, dart in and out.
Yeah.
I got to, like, go in and
Yeah.
strike
Bob
and
and
then come back
weave.
Yeah.
out. Yeah. And then it got to a point I started doing, like, side kicks on his leg, right, to take out his foundation. And I cracked him with one of them, and then he looked at Junior. He was like, go in and get the gun.
Oh.
And I was like, it's like a yard sale out there. All my, like,
shit's laying around in the yard
yeah,
now.
so I pick all that up, put it on a clipboard, I'm like, I'm gone.
I'm out.
And so, obviously, I got to, you know, this dude, he's real gangster, but he's real quick to call the cops. So 3 days later, that warrant pops up. And here's another, like, justification of me doing the right thing. My PO calls me, and she's like, hey, yeah, you got a warrant. You got to turn yourself in. She could have came to where I was. She knew where I was and just cuffed me up. But she gave me the time to get my effects in order. And
Yep.
then I, like, called the jail, and they were like, you make it down here by 6, you'll be on the docket tomorrow to bond out. I had bond money at the time, you know, because I'm not wasting it on drugs and shit. I go, I get my effects in order. My sales manager, he takes me down and turns myself in, right? I give him money to, like, pay my bond. I'm like, this should be enough. He pays my bond. Well, Parole puts a sticker on me,
Ooh.
so I'm not going nowhere.
stuck.
Yeah.
However, because I posted my bond, the clock starts for Parole at 147 days left on the shelf.
Okay.
And so, you know, I ended up going back to prison.
Really?
Sober.
Yeah.
Damn.
After?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a good experience. Saw the usual shit, but it's wild in there now. It's wild. Like, they're smoking this tune.
Yeah, man.
They got their drones bringing the stuff in. Guys are getting iced out in there and stabbing people. I seen that. So this is like, I'm only in there for like 3 months to finish up my time because I did like 3 in the county, got
Yep.
3 to go. And this is just up in Lorain, and it's cells, so I mean, it's level 3. But yeah, seeing dudes get stabbed over ice, then like geeking. Seen a dude die in the chow hall. from the Fetty.
Mm.
You know, and this is just in a 3-month period. Like that's a
Jesus.
little time. It was
Yeah.
like that's a few things like pop off and witness.
God.
And yeah, I do that little time and I get out and
Stayed
buddy,
sober in prison.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Buddy picks me up. Hit a meeting that night. You know, old Saturday Night Live.
As you should.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then go right back. And now now I'm getting trained how to like actually close deals. Went right into it. Now I got a pitch book. So you know I'm doing stuff like rehearsing,
Sure.
doing videotapes of myself, like talking to the client. I'll never forget my first deal. It was for some chump change. It was like $4,000. It's nothing. It was doing apron and a little like back patio section because like the main thing we're doing is selling concrete.
But you closed
Right.
it.
Yeah. And the dude comes out and says, no. I was like, other than the money, is there any other reason we couldn't just, you know, get together and get you on the schedule today? No. Right. And over like the time I'd spent with my sales manager, I knew what to say. I asked him, I was like, have you had a bad experience in the past? And he started opening up and talking about it.
Yep.
And I turned that no into a yes. And I was like,
Right.
this stuff has power. And there's a reason.
Well, you caught him on a human level, too. You were able to humanize it. You had a bad experience? I'm so sorry. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yes.
And now I know why, you know, when you're getting trained in these tactics, they tell you, like, we don't use these on friends or family because then nothing's real.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though we still do. And then,
Right.
like, my fiance now, she's been around me so much that she'll start, like, turning the tables on me. And I'm like, oh, she's learning.
She
She's
knows
learning.
she
She's
knows the
figuring it
tricks.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was the first one. Biggest deal I did. Oh, and keep in mind, I'm on a 10-speed with a backpack with all my pitch gear.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'll ride a bike, and then I'll go door to door with a backpack. Like high pressure, like one call
That's
close.
grinding, dude.
And also that stuff kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
Kept me busy. And I remember the biggest deal I did within an hour was $35,000.
Damn.
Feels good.
I had this lady. I'm like, I just met the lady, and I had a $35,000 contract to redo her driveway, and a check in hand for a deposit.
Damn.
And I was like, whoa. It's like maybe there's something here.
Dude, these are all transferable skills. All that shit you went through, it's transferable to something in the real world.
Yeah.
I think most people like us could probably be salesmen because we manipulated for so many years. It's just now you got to do it the proper way.
Yeah.
better believe
And
it.
it's just not. It's just second nature. It's yeah. What's your day to day today? You know what's life look like for you now?
Oh, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm kind of loving the little break in the winter. So after that season, the winter came, and then obviously, in our circles, there's a bunch of roofing companies, right?
Yep.
And so I was getting like propositions, you know, getting taken out to dinner,
Of course.
this type of thing, because they saw like I was doing this thing on a 10-speed with a backpack. Like they were like, this guy can get in here and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And took like the best choice at the time, I thought. Yeah, so now it's like I'm in a company vehicle. I can go help other people, you know, that
Yeah.
type of thing. I wear a couple different hats.
And if you look at sales like that as helping people, which
Oh,
truly
yeah.
it is, then it makes it much easier. You know, you're providing them a service that will help them. You know.
I love what I do now a lot more than before, because before I'm like talking people into terms,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like I would know the numbers, right? And I'd be like, well, they're rich, but it's still like after closing deals, when you're supposed to like feel good about it, I wouldn't feel good, you know, because I'd be like, well, in reality, I could have got them a better deal, but I have to deal with the sales manager. I have to do the numbers that they tell me to do, right?
Well, and plus your commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like,
so I gotta
you
gotta feed
get
myself.
paid, yeah.
Because if I don't eat. And on this side of the fence now, what I'm doing with like the insurance mitigation and that type of stuff is actually like fighting to get the homeowner money
A better
and
deal.
get them what they deserve.
Okay.
it feels like way better because now I'm like, oh, I'm actually like really, really like helping people.
And you did some speaking. I know we ran into each other at a like a recovery correctional workshop, which you got to speak at. I spoke at. It's where we ran into each other. So you're doing stuff like that. That's fantastic.
That was wild.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's cool, man. You're crushing it after everything you've been through, and there's more to be revealed.
Oh, you better believe it.
You know.
Oh, Lewis,
Yeah. What's up?
you still owe me $1.26.
The $1.24, bro. Yeah.
It's $1.26.
Pay my guy, bud.
I'll pay you.
Pay him, bud.
I'll square you
Break
up.
his legs. We'll do the shin kicks that you were doing to the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I came up on cash in the facility when it was locked down, and it was a big mystery how I got the cash.
And you're not allowed to have cash in there, obviously.
No, and then it was like, how'd you get this? How'd you get this?
You lead the interrogation?
And then I took it,
Damn.
and then I pinned it on my board for everybody to see.
Damn. Like you got the big fish?
It was a $1 bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got his big fish.
Dude, it was a big deal in there. It was
Yeah, this
Yeah.
guy's like, fuck that.
It was a
I'm
$1
gonna
bill.
Get my $1.24 back, man.
Oh, God.
So we're going to need to make that happen.
Yeah, we'll make that
As we turn
happen.
off here.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on
brother.
everything. And
Crazy ride, man.
thanks for taking the time to do this. It
Wow, thanks for having me on. I
means a
appreciate
lot.
it.
And yeah, dude, get your story out there, your truth. So that's it, man.
All right, get your wallet out, Lou.
I don't have any cash.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
I think I have some half dollars.